Hi everybody, welcome to Christian Homestead. My name is Jared. In this video, we're going to discuss mostly some of the unusual events that are surrounding this general conference. As far as my notes go, I didn't have that much for this session. Personally, I did, but for this audience, for this channel where we're primarily looking at Second Coming things, there wasn't a whole lot in this session, which of course does not lessen the importance of the messages. Also, like I've said the last couple times, do not use this video or any other video on YouTube as a substitute for General Conference. Please make sure to watch all the sessions. But we are going to talk about General Conference. This video that we're looking at right here, it's on my new channel called Explore Church Sites. I was able to get access to the conference center a few days before conference and essentially just have free range, more or less, and take videos. So if you want to watch the whole thing, go to Explore Church Sites, and you can listen to my commentary as well as we explore the conference center. The one thing I do want to point out that I took note of on my spreadsheet is, I don't know, maybe it's just because I haven't really paid attention before, but it seems like there's been a lot of smiling from President Oaks, which is a great thing. I don't know about you, but I've always kind of watched him and thought about the fact that, he's the judge, and what does that mean when and if he becomes president of the church? Well, now he's going to be president of the church, and it's starting out with a lot of smiles. So it's nice. It's nice to see him smile. It was really good. Did you notice the same thing at all, or is it just me? Or has he always smiled a lot? I feel like it's been a lot during this general conference. And then before we go into this record-breaking event that I referenced in the thumbnail of this video, I also want to point out one more time, there is a new channel. This is one of my viewers. Her name is Cabria. She's always left really good comments. She's very interested in the Second Coming. She's done a couple conference videos already, but I want to encourage you to subscribe to her. This is the name of her channel. It's Walk with Jesus. And for the description on the homepage, she says, "Hello, my name is it's pronounced Cabria. I've asked her. Hello, my name is Cabria White. Join us as we watch faithfully for the return of Jesus Christ." So she's going to be doing some Second Coming content, but then she continues, tackling signs and wonders, gospel questions, and miracles in our everyday lives. Will you walk with Jesus too? So make sure to subscribe to her. I'll put a link in the description box below to make it easy to follow her. She's going to make good content. I have a lot of faith in Cabria. Now, in the last video that I did, well, actually, we kind of touched on it the first live stream because somebody brought this up. There's been this crazy storm system that's gone through Utah. It seems that primarily Tooele County, which is just to the west of Salt Lake County. Tooele County and Salt Lake County have been hit with heavy rainfall. And it's actually, I don't have the article still up, but it's one of those, what they call 100-year storm events. So it was a lot of rain. There are homes and stuff that have been damaged. In Salt Lake City, the farmers market was canceled. That was supposed to be held, I think, in Pioneer Park. But in the live stream, I had referenced some posts on X, and I just want to show you some of these because it seems like this really was a significant thing that happened. And whenever you have things like this happen at significant times, I typically think that it's a sign, just because it's not normal. It seems to highlight whatever it's coinciding with. In this case, General Conference, and not just any General Conference. The General Conference where we're having this transition between two presidents of the church, and not just any two presidents of the church. It's President Nelson and President Oaks. They were called together. Let me just remind you really quick, and this ties in to this storm that we're about to talk about. So back on January 11th, 1983, you had, I can't remember which one came first, but you had like Elder LeGrand Richards, who passed away. President Kimball was not doing very well with his health that year. And so a couple general conferences go by without the seat being filled by somebody else. And then on the exact same day, a year later, January 11th, 1984, you had the passing of, at that point, I think it was Mark E. Peterson. Okay. They died exactly a year apart. And in 1983, in between those two deaths, there was this unusual flooding event in Utah. It was the spring runoff from all the snow in the mountains that was, quickly melting and then going down into the Salt Lake Valley. And so the floodwaters came into Salt Lake City, came right up to Temple Square, and they were able to divert the flow down State Street, which is one of the main streets in Salt Lake. So flooding is kind of what was at the beginning or led up to the calling of, at the time, Elder Nelson and Elder Oaks in 1984. Okay, it was unusual circumstances. So you fast forward 40 years. Well, actually, now it's like 41 years. And now President Nelson has been president of the church, and now it's President Oaks. First you had the heart surgeon, now we have the judge. And right now during this general conference, of all conferences, there's a flooding event taking place. So you get it? So this is Chase Thompson on X. He says 2 to 3 inches of rain has fallen in the Tooele area, a truly historic event. Just like this change in leadership in the church, a truly historic event. Flooding has washed out the ground beneath the main tracks running through Tooele. And there's a picture of it right there, train tracks. Okay, this is Utah Daily Snow. It has been an absolute deluge west and north of Salt Lake Valley. This blob of precipitation is slowly pivoting, which is going to keep the heavy rain ongoing. And I checked the forecast. It seems that it's going to continue to rain in the Salt Lake area, at least for a couple hours. So it's not over yet. You have this person that posted, Zion GPT. And they say it's raining in Salt Lake City. Maybe there will be less crazies for general conference today. He's referring to the protesters. Every general conference, it's kind of like this tradition for them where, people of different beliefs, I guess, primarily Christians of other faiths, I think, come and protest in public places, like on the sidewalk in downtown Salt Lake, and they have their picket signs and megaphones and all this stuff. So that's kind of interesting. If you went to conference, could you please confirm in the comments below, were there any protesters this time, or were they not there because of the rain? Of course, I don't know when the rain hit Salt Lake, because I think earlier in the day, like for the morning session at least, I don't think there was rain at that point. But if you were there, let me know. Did you see protesters? But that's also an interesting thing to think about as we're switching over to the judge, right? You have the protesting against the church, and we're getting this new judge as president of the church. Okay, and then what's going on here? Let me refresh it. This is Cole Osborne. And he says, and there it is, wettest day ever observed in Salt Lake City during the month of October. Still raining hard with higher totals to come. So, of all days, this didn't happen 3 days ago. It didn't happen several days from now. It happened today, the first day of General Conference. The day where we're experiencing our first General Conference, with the new, or soon to be new, president of the church, Dallin H. Oaks. As of right now, he is officially president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, because this is an apostolic interregnum. But for all intents and purposes, it's our first general conference with him as the new prophet, essentially. Okay, here's the next one. This is Utah daily snow. The 2.38 inches at Salt Lake Airport is the most ever in a calendar day. It's the most ever at Salt Lake International Airport in a calendar day. Note, Salt Lake City's record of 2.64 inches came in 1901, but not at the airport because airports were quite rare prior to the invention of airplanes. So if there had been an airport at that time, then this would probably still hold the record. But as far as the airport is concerned, this is the most rain that it's received in its history in a calendar day. Today, General Conference, the transition between President Nelson and President Oaks. This is Don Sutherland. Salt Lake City has picked up 2.38 inches or 60.5 millimeters of rain through 6 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. That demolishes the all-time October daily mark of 1.53 or 38.9 millimeters, and is the second highest daily amount on record. Records go back to 1874. So this is no small thing. There may not be like widespread destruction and damage and stuff like that, but as far as weather records go, today was really significant. It was really significant. Back to Chase Thomas. Wait, did we already hear from him? I think it's the same guy. Chase Thomason. Record watch. Salt Lake City is up to 1.80 inches today, which could make it the 8th wettest day. Oh, why do I have this one? Just forget that. William Scherer, if I'm pronouncing that right. People always talk about history. Today, Salt Lake City / Wasatch Valley is living history. Historic October rainstorm. Heavy rain at Salt Lake International Airport currently could be all-time records. We'll see. Yes, had it been snow, okay. Yes, had it been snow, a snowstorm of colossal proportions. Well, yeah, as far as Salt Lake International goes, it was an all-time record. It was. I guess we're gonna have to check in a few hours. I mean, I'm not going to do another video today, but we'll check on this again tomorrow and see if it's even more than what we're talking about right now. This is from Trend Science. The Great Salt Lake just received more than a fourth of its yearly rainfall in 5 hours. Now, we've been seeing these kind of events within recent years all over the world, where you have a location that receives a significant percentage of its annual rainfall within a very short period of time, like maybe a few days. So now it's the Great Salt Lake's turn. So that's interesting. And then here's the last one. This is John Michelson. Insane rain and thunder here west of Salt Lake City in Tooele County this morning. Some of the hardest rain I've ever seen here. The lightning and thunder was nonstop throughout, and at 6:45 a.m. is still continuing. Sorry, it's not quite in focus. And then I'll put the links for all these posts in the description box if you actually want to go to X and check it out. So now let's shift gears. I want to make note of this. A lot of people have been like emailing me about this, and I want to just like put it all down on this spreadsheet. We're looking at my spreadsheet called Prophets Sevens. These are primarily times during President Nelson's presidency where it seems like he would intentionally do things in sevens. But since that time, since the beginning of his presidency, we've seen sevens that seem to be specific to President Nelson or just to the first presidency, where it just seems like something's going on. Sometimes maybe it's intentional on the part of President Nelson. Other times, maybe not. With what we're going to cover right now, I don't think that he planned this. Okay, so I have 4 new items. The first one is President Nelson passes away 7 days before General Conference. That's unusual. Uh, I'd have to double check. I know that this isn't the first time that a president of the church has died before conference, but I'm not familiar with that other time. I think there was maybe one other time, but it wasn't 8 days before. It wasn't 6 days before. It wasn't whatever. It was a week. It was 7 days before General Conference. I think that's pretty unusual. The day that he passed away was the 27th. We've noticed before especially like when it comes to temple dedications and other significant things in church history. Um, you have these times where very significant things will happen on, in this case, like the 27th, the 37th, never on the 37th. You get what I'm saying? Say like, this is just like a hypothetical, like say the year 1937 or something like that. So he died on the 27th. It's also interesting when you think about the Roman calendar. September was, in that calendar, the 7th month of the year. That's why it starts with sept, because that's 7. October would be the 8th month, and so on. So if you're looking at it that way, he died in a month that before our current calendar was considered the 7th month. And then I found out about this next one from my friend Mindy with Temples of Jesus channel. She also does YouTube, and it's a Second Coming channel. Make sure to subscribe to her. She pointed out that his presidency lasted 7.7 years. And how do you get to that number? Well, there's this handy tool on this website, Time and Date, that lets you count the number of days between 2 dates. Okay. So he became president of the church January 14th, 2018. And then, I should have made this. It doesn't matter. It's not going to change the 7.7. So it counts up the number of days between, 2 dates. And that's what I did from the day that he became president of the church till the day that he passed away. And that gives you 2,813 days. So you divide that by 365, and it's accurate enough. I know that there's leap years, but any way that you do it, if it's off by just like a day or two, it's still going to be 7.7. And so that's what I did. So he was president of the church for 7.7 years. 7.7 years. I already thought that it was significant when he reached his 7-year anniversary, but he passed away at the 0.7 mark of the year. It's just truly uncanny. And then his funeral is going to be held on the 7th of October. So do you get the sense that maybe his mission is complete? And, because that's one of the symbolic meanings in the scriptures of 7 is completion. You could even say perfection. I think that he did the job as perfectly as you possibly could. President Nelson was amazing. So it's like if this transition wasn't interesting enough between the heart surgeon and the judge, and you have the flooding and you have all the other things that we've considered, on top of all that, you have all these 7s that are related to his passing. It's just, like I said, it's not like he planned this. So if it's not coincidence, then what is it? I think that it's intentional, and I think it marks something very important. I also want to just show you some of the updates on my spreadsheet called Second Coming Timeline. Oh my gosh, it's been such an interesting September. So just a quick recap. He turned 101 on September 9th. That same day, Israel struck Qatar. The first time that's happened that I'm aware of. And it's a new escalation in that war. On that same day, Poland became the first NATO member to fire a shot during this Ukraine war, shooting down Russian drones, and that's another escalation for that war. So 2 escalations in one day, and it just happened to be President Nelson's 101st birthday. The next day, you had this event that took place at Utah Valley University, and just a day before this significant date. And then on that same day that happened in at Utah Valley University, there was an unusually deep, or 68-kilometer deep earthquake, which means that in that location, which was near Vernal, Utah, it originated in the Earth's mantle. You had this unusual earthquake the same day as this, and or you could say it the day after President Nelson's birthday, however you want to look at it. I think it all kind of goes together. 3 days later, there was an unusual tornado in southeastern Utah that took out multiple homes. We talked about that. Okay, and then President Nelson passed away on September 27th. The next day, you had this thing that took place in Michigan, and there's been several mentions of that in General Conference. And then today, October 4th, a 100-year storm in Utah during Saturday sessions of General Conference, flooding in Salt Lake City and Tooele County. And I've put these things also on this spreadsheet called Signs Church Specific. This, to me, is a fascinating spreadsheet. I know that there's more I need to add on here, and I know that some of you guys have sent me things, but it's just, I wish I had all the time in the world. I wish there were more hours in the day to do everything that I want to do, but I'm doing the best that I can. But we've noticed just really very, very interesting things that are similar to the things that I just mentioned. So, for example, let's go back to the year 1994. May 31st, let's see, actually May 30th is the day that President Ezra Taft Benson passed away. And the day after that, on the 31st, there was a derecho in Utah and Wyoming. Derechos don't typically happen in that part of the country. It's basically hurricane force winds that just like sweep through like a large area. You could think of it like an inland hurricane. That's not really what it is, but it's just hurricane force winds that go like a long ways across a large area. That's what happened the day after President Benson passed away. Here's the flooding that we were talking about back in 1983, as the church was anticipating a new apostle to be called, and then later the next year, now there was a need for 2 apostles. I don't know. There's just a lot of rain events and just all sorts of interesting things. Good weather on the day that the cornerstones for the Salt Lake Temple were laid. There had been rain around that time, but it cleared up for the laying of the cornerstones. Also temporary sunshine and calm during the dedication of the Palmyra, New York temple. And on that same day, there was this event called the Great Aurora and Geomagnetic Storm of the year 2000, April 6th through 7th. There was a paper that was written about that. And, you can check this out yourself. The link is in the description box below. Just click on that, and then click on these 3 lines at the bottom left, and then navigate your way to Signs Church Specific if you want to see this. Oh, and I guess since we're at it, President Thomas S. Monson, I think I have it on here. Oh, I need to add this. So August 21st, 2017, you had the Great American Eclipse. The path of totality went over Jackson County, far west, Adamonte-Yaman, and the way that those are spaced, those were kind of like the limits of the width of the path of totality. So if the path of totality didn't take that exact path, it wouldn't have covered all 3 of those locations. But it also happened to be, let's see, President Thomas S. Monson's 90th birthday, of course. And Elder Stevenson pointed that out in General Conference, by the way. This was just a few months before he passed away. So he was 90 years old, have this eclipse on his birthday. It goes over Jackson County, far west, and Anamandiaman, and he passes away a few months later. So you're really going to tell me that this is all just coincidence, all these things? I don't think so. If you're being honest with yourself and you take it all in, it's not coincidence. Yeah. So that's probably all I want to point out from this one. And that will pretty much wrap up this video. Again, I feel like there's a need after this trip that I made to Utah and different people that I talked to while I was there. I feel like there's a need for more female content creators. I was going to be done, I had already done 2 rounds of interviews, and I don't think I'm going to do like another round of interviews like I did before, but I would like to encourage you, if you feel prompted, to start a YouTube channel or Instagram or TikTok or whatever. If you're feeling that, then get in contact with me and I'll see what we can do to promote your stuff. The more serious you take it, the more likely it is that I'm going to actually promote your materials. So I have a lot of confidence in Cabria because I've known her for a few years now, because she's like a big fan of the channel, and I feel like I know who she is and what she's about. So I feel like this is going to be a really good YouTube channel. Here, let's refresh. So right now she's at 25. Let me just see if it's gone up since that time. It has 29. So it'd be great if we could get her to like 100 tonight. So please subscribe to her. She's going to be producing some Second Coming content and then covering other things too, just like I do. So make sure to subscribe to Walk with Jesus. Okay, that's going to be for this one. I'll talk to you guys later.